How's it going, everybody? My name is Forward Slash, and today we're back on entitled Parents. And like the last video, we're going to do one long, one medium, and two shorts, just hopefully they'll give us a good range of time. So yeah, let's get started. This is my first story on here. Please be gentle. Also, this story is more about the kid than the parent, but the parent was supporting the behavior, so... Our cast: EK, obvious; EM, obvious; me, super obvious; neighbors 1 and 2, 2 neighborhood kids. And so it begins. One summer day last year, I had just turned 14. I was playing some basketball with these 2 kids from my neighborhood in their driveway. Their family is pretty rich, so they have a fully paved driveway, big enough to be a sizable court. It's just me and them for about half an hour, until Satan's son himself comes over from down the street. This kid is the real stereotypical little shit, who's made the soccer team 3 years ago and still thinks he runs the place. So we let him join the game, and everything's fine for a bit. I'm a little bit on the bigger side, but I'm really strong, so I play really well as a center, posting up and all that. And this entitled kid is guarding me, and he's getting worked. He's shorter and not as strong, so he's getting dominated. Here's the major incident. I've just grabbed a loose ball, and I'm running back towards the basket. The other kid gets back before me and stops my drive, so I start to back him down again. He must have been really frustrated by him not getting a chance on defense, so he thinks up a plan. At this point, I was wearing a hoodie, and the fucker grabs my hood from behind and pulls as hard as he can. I, not expecting my airflow to be cut off, especially while I'm breathing hard, start to panic. I can't shake him off my back. I don't know how long he's been hanging on, but it felt like a whole 45 seconds. It may not seem that long, but I'm freaking the fuck out, so it feels like forever. An eternity later, his grip loosens and I finally get him off. I'm freaking fired up, so I punch him right in the nose. Definitely not as hard as I could, but it certainly would have hurt a lot. This little turd, however, drops like he's out cold. Meanwhile, I'm on my knees trying to get my breath back. He's bawling his eyes out. He's rolling and screaming and all that, being the melodramatic turd that he is. But his mom is running over, and it was that moment where I knew I was fricked. Now, sometime between when he started and when I socked him, his mother came out, but she's the typical, I want to speak to the manager, white upper-class mom who volunteers to be the head of PTA every year and goes to Starbucks 20 times a day, and the entitled kid is very much her son. "Oh my god, are you okay? What did you do to him?" He just nearly choked me, so I punched him. "Why would you do that? You're so much bigger than him." But he was choking me out. "Come on, dude, you've got to be more mature about this." What do you expect me to do? Apologize to him for making him choke me? This whole thing goes on for a while, until the neighbors step in to try and protect me. OP really didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, he didn't even hit him that hard. But OP shouldn't be hitting people in the first place, especially not my son. Yes, she actually said especially, not my son. But it was basically a trade-off. Why are you guys trying to protect him? You should probably go inside. You don't know what you're talking about. They keep trying to help me out, but to no avail. This just goes around for another 5 minutes before EK finally gets up and limps, yes, limps, back to his house. I go home, cause I'm sick of this turd, and I'm tired. The next day, I try to go back over, but the entitled kid is there already. Neither of his parents' cars are there, so I assume that he's staying at the neighbor's kid's house until they come back. I decide to go back inside because I don't want to interact with him. A couple hours later, entitled kid shows up at our door with his mom standing at the front gate. Hi OP, I was just coming over to say sorry for choking you yesterday. I won't ever do it again. Thanks. I'm sorry that I punched you. At this point, my mom comes to see who I'm talking to and asks what's going on. Entitled mom pipes up and says, "We are here for your forgiveness gift." My what? your forgiveness gift. It's a tradition in our family that the person who apologizes last has to give the other person something to make up for it. My mom: Excuse me? What's going on? I explain what happened, and as I explain what happened, she seems to get more and more disgusted by the situation. I finish explaining, and I turn back to entitled kid, who had tried to correct my story while I was explaining to my mom, saying things like, "He punched me twice in the face, and then kicked me in the nuts while I was crying on the ground." My mom is basically a bomb-sniffing dog for lies, so I can see from her face that she knows that's BS. I turn back to entitled kid. My mom: I'm sorry, but we don't do forgiveness gifts in this family. Entitled mom: We do in this family. Entitled kid, pick something out. Entitled kid looked around and saw my PS4 and he points at it. Mommy, I want that one. Keep in mind that this kid is just about a year younger than I am. Too old for mommy, too old for this whole situation in my opinion. Entitled mom walks up to our door and sees it's my PS4. Great, we'll take that as our gift. My mom, with steam blowing out of her ears, slams the door in their face and quickly locks it. They start pounding on the door so hard that it sounds like they're trying to break it down. We leave the door, but they stay there pounding on the door for at least another 5 minutes before finally leaving. I still leave my neighbor's house anytime I see him walking down the block. That's the story. I understand that it was super long and may not be as high stakes or entertaining as some of the other stories here, but thanks for reading if you got this far. That was a pretty good story. Thank you for posting. Details. I'm 17 and live in the UK. This happened around December of last year. It happened in Liddy to be exact. Now this is going to be a very long read, so be prepared. My mom asked me to go grocery shopping because she was quite busy with something, and I agreed to go, so I went to Liddy. Is that an I or an L? Just googled it, it's an L. So I decided to go to Lidl. I spent around 10 minutes looking for things on the shopping list. I decided to get a treat for myself because why not? And so I got some Finn Carry chocolate. Note, this chocolate wasn't sold at the till in this location. I finally finished finding everything and made my way up to the till. I was standing in line while using my phone just minding my business until this overly loud parent with a very hyperactive kid who looked around 8 came behind me in the line. You wouldn't mind letting us go in front of you, would you? I looked down on her cart, which seemed to be a lot more full than mine, and I decided I'm not in a rush, so why not? And I replied, sure, and subtly smiled. She thanked me and went on to go in front of me. My impression of this woman seemed normal until this happened. The entitled kid said as he was pointing at my cart, Mom, look, it's that chocolate that you promised me to buy next time we go shopping. Entitled mom, oh yes, darling, I just remembered. The entitled mom looked up at me and said, may I grab that chocolate bar? This little one's eager to get it. Now this chocolate is somewhat far from the tills in this location, and as mentioned earlier, isn't sold at the tills either, so to get a new chocolate bar for myself would have been a chore. I replied, I'm sorry, I don't think I can give you the chocolate. It's quite far from the tills. Her smile quickly turned into a death stare, and she said in a loud voice, right, I don't care how far this chocolate is from here. Now someone like you is more capable of getting a new bar, so stop making George cross. I replied, I don't care how capable I am. I'm not going anywhere, and this chocolate is staying in the cart. Now there was a lot going through my head at this point, but I remember how the entitled kid was reaching inside my cart trying to grab the chocolate, so I quickly grabbed it myself and held it in my hand. Entitled kid, Mom, the guy took the chocolate. Entitled mom, right, I've had enough. The entitled mom reached for my hand to grab the chocolate, but I moved in time and decided to go directly to the cashier and asked him to call the manager. Now the cashier seemed to have witnessed everything, so she informed the manager about what happened. No more than 2 minutes of me awkwardly standing there, the manager arrives. She walks up to the entitled mom and quietly asks her to leave, and the entitled mom kept trying to incriminate me, somehow, until she finally paid for her groceries and left. Me, the cashier, and the manager all had a laugh about it after she left. Now that I think about it, that scene wasn't worth a chocolate bar, but oh well. It's not about the chocolate bar, it's about principle. You didn't feel like walking. Good to you for standing your ground. So first, a little background. This happened about 3 to 4 years after I moved out from my parents' house and have been living independently. Then one day, I get this string of texts from my mom. Hey, how have you been doing? What are you up to 2 weeks from now? I've been doing alright. I've started lifting weights and exercising more. I don't think I'm doing anything too exciting next week. Why you ask? Perfect. Me and boyfriend are going on a trip and we need you to house it and watch the dogs for us. Sorry, but I can't just leave for a week. Please, the dogs miss you and I'd really hate to put them in a kennel. Sorry, but I have a job. I can't just go missing for a week. Why can't you drive to work from my house? Because it's a 2.5-hour commute each way. You have vacation days, right? Just use them. No. Please, I'd feel really bad about putting the dogs in the kennel. You know how much she hates it. You obviously don't feel that bad about doing it. Then I heard nothing from her until the day before they have their trip. Hey, we're leaving for our trip today, and I was wondering when you were going to be here. I want to show you some things before we leave. What part of our last conversation gave you any idea that I agreed to this? That's very rude of you, in no way to speak to your mother. Now can we expect you here by 5? And at that point, I just put my phone on silent and stopped talking to her. Sorry, but no matter how old you get, you're my child and therefore are required by law to watch my dogs on a moment's notice. Alright, and the last story for the day. My pregnancy was okay up until the last month. It was 95 degrees outside, and I was retaining so much water my sandals hardly fit on the biggest setting, and I was constantly in pain. It sucked. I waddled, to the store for a couple of last-minute things for the baby, and I was so relieved that there was a parking spot for pregos and parents near the entrance. I pulled in and took a few moments to chug water and gather my things when I noticed a car pull up to my left. They were half in the handicap parking stall and yelling something out their window. I rolled my window down and heard, "You shouldn't be in that spot, you don't have kids. My son shouldn't have to walk from the back of the parking lot," or something to that effect. I was a little stunned to be yelled at, to be honest. I calmly told her that I was very pregnant, and this stall was for pregnant women too. She kept talking to her son, but at me. You know what I mean? Sorry, son, you have to walk in the heat, because this lady parked in our spot. So I opened the door and hoisted my giant land whale-esque body out of the car. She was still turned around talking to her son, and when she finally saw me, I was about 3 feet away from her car. I bent down, no, just tilted my head down, and said, "Do you see how pregnant I am? I think your son will be okay walking." And then I saw the son. He was like 7. The kid can walk. She just sighed and drove away. I was so pissed. I wish I said more to her. She didn't want that spot because she had a kid. She just brought the kid so she could try and take that spot. Anyways guys, those have been the top r/entitled parents posts of the month. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe, let me know if you like this. And yeah, I've been / and I'm out.